The galaxy had seen wars before, but never anything as large as the one the Galactic Empire was preparing. Their fleets covered the stars like giant, metal clouds. Their battleships were sharp, cold, and powerful, made to crush any enemy that dared to stand in their way. For years, the Empire had expanded from planet to planet, world to world, taking control without challenge. Most alien races surrendered the moment they saw the Empire's flag. It was easier to obey than to resist. But now the Empire's eyes turned toward a small blue world in the Milky Way galaxy. A world called Earth. A species called humans. The Empire believed the humans were weak. They believed humanity was young, foolish, and unprepared for advanced war. So, the Emperor decided it was time to send a message to the entire galaxy. A message of domination. A message of war. On the Empire's capital planet, a massive broadcast center came to life. Thousands of cameras hovered in the air. Millions across the galaxy watched their screens as the Emperor appeared, tall, armored, and standing proudly under a silver banner. His voice echoed across hundreds of star systems. Today, he declared, we bring order to the last wild corner of the galaxy. Today we declare war on humanity. The crowd of alien leaders gasped. Some cheered. Some whispered nervously. Some looked confused. Why attack humans now? The Emperor continued. These Terrans have refused to join our empire. They ignore our demands. They protect their independence. This behavior cannot continue. He lifted a hand, signaling to the fleet commanders. Terran space will fall. Their fleet will break. Their world will bow. The broadcast ended with the Empire's symbol glowing red, an ancient sign of conquest. Across the galaxy, fear spread quickly. On a trading planet, a group of small reptilian merchants stared at their screens. War with humans? One asked. They will be crushed in a day, another said. But humans are unpredictable, a third whispered. In the outer rim, a feline warrior race looked worried. The Empire can destroy planets, their commander said. Humans cannot survive this. Even peaceful races, far away from conflict, felt uneasy. Everyone had heard strange rumors about humans. Rumors about their rapid growth, their creativity, their stubborn courage. But no one believed humans could face the Empire. No one. Far from the chatter and panic of other worlds, Earth stood quiet. Humanity did not respond immediately to the war declaration. There was no screaming in the streets, no chaos, no mass panic. People continued their daily lives, working, driving, cooking, teaching. But deep under the surface, in a hidden military complex, the Terran High Council gathered. The room was large and silent, lit by soft blue lights. Holograms of star systems floated above the table. Admiral Reyes entered the chamber calmly. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and a face that always seemed relaxed, no matter the situation. Other council members were already waiting, scientists, generals, diplomats. The screen in the center replayed the Emperor's message. Humanity will bow. When the message ended, nobody spoke for a long moment. Finally, General Tavik slammed his fist on the table. We must respond at once. The Empire has millions of soldiers. Their fleet numbers in the thousands. We cannot act slowly. But the scientists disagreed. We cannot rush. We must analyze their movements. The diplomats looked scared. We should negotiate. A war with the Empire can destroy entire star systems. Everyone argued. Everyone stressed. Everyone feared. Everyone, except Admiral Reyes. He stood quietly, listening to the panic around him. Then slowly he smiled. A calm, confident smile. The room froze. General Tavik stared at him. Admiral, you are smiling? Reyes nodded. Yes, because this war is not what the Empire thinks it is. Council members exchanged confused looks. The diplomat asked, do you know something that we don't? The Admiral simply folded his hands behind his back. We will not run. We will not panic. And we will not fear the Empire. Their declaration is loud, but their understanding is small. He turned toward the hologram of the Milky Way. They believe they know humanity. They do not. He pointed toward the Empire's territory glowing on the map. They think we are weak. They think we are afraid. They think victory is certain. Then he pressed a button, switching the hologram to a secret fleet hidden in deep space. But they are wrong. Elsewhere, on the Empire's flagship, Fleet Marshal Vor watched the same broadcast of Earth's silence. Why are humans not reacting? He growled. His officers looked confused. Every other species the Empire threatened had either bowed or begged. But humans? They stayed quiet. Too quiet. One officer said, maybe they are in fear. Vor shook his head. No. Fear makes noise. Fear creates chaos. He narrowed his glowing eyes. This silence feels like confidence. A chill ran through the bridge. For the first time the Empire felt a flicker of doubt. Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes walked toward the Council exit. General Tavik called out to him. Admiral, are you certain we can win this war? Reyes paused at the door. His calm smile returned. We already have. And with that he left the room, leaving the Council stunned. Humanity remained silent. The Empire grew nervous. And the galaxy watched, waiting to see the secret behind the Terran smile. The Terran High Council remained silent long after Admiral Reyes left the chamber. His final words echoed in their minds. We already have. How could he say that? The Empire controlled half the galaxy. They had more ships, more soldiers, and more weapons than any known species. Yet the Admiral spoke as if victory was already written. General Tavik looked at the other council members. Either Reyes knows something we do not, he said, or he has gone mad. But no one truly believed the Admiral was mad. Everyone knew he was the most strategic mind in Terran history. His calmness was not carelessness. It was confidence. Still, the reason behind his confidence remained a mystery. Meanwhile, the galaxy reacts. News spread quickly. Within hours, every alien news channel showed the same headline. Humans do not respond, Earth remains silent. On peaceful worlds, children pointed at the screen, confused. On warrior planets, soldiers whispered that humans must be preparing a trap. On scared worlds, citizens packed their belongings, fearing the Empire might drag them into a massive war. The silence from Earth was louder than any weapon. Inside the Empire fleet, Fleet Marshal Vor stood at the window of his flagship, watching stars drift by as his massive fleet moved toward Terran space. Thousands of ships traveled with him, destroyers, cruisers, battleships, carriers. But despite their power, a strange feeling pressed on Vor's chest. Uncertainty. He replayed the Terran Council footage secretly recorded by Empire spies. Admiral Reyes smiling calmly, it did not make sense. Why smile? Vor muttered. Why show confidence when facing destruction? An officer approached. Marshal, the fleet will reach the Terran border in 12 hours. Vor nodded. Double all surveillance. I want every Terran signal, every ship movement, every whisper. Humans are hiding something. The officer saluted and hurried away. Vor closed his eyes. What if this war was not as simple as the Emperor believed? Back on Earth, Admiral Reyes walked through the underground command center, passing hundreds of officers, screens, and holographic maps. Everyone saluted him, but he waved them off casually. He entered a small room where a single scientist waited, Dr. Leah Morgan, head of Terran Research Division. She looked nervous. Admiral, the Council is worried. They should be, Reyes said softly. But not about the Empire. Dr. Morgan frowned. Then what? Reyes tapped a panel and a hologram appeared. It showed a dark object hidden far below Earth's surface, sealed under layers of rock and metal. This, Reyes said. Dr. Morgan stepped closer. You want to use that? Reyes nodded slowly. Humanity did not rise to power by accident. We have something the Empire cannot understand. Dr. Morgan swallowed. She knew what the Admiral was talking about. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something the humans had discovered only by luck. Are you sure? She whispered. Reyes smiled again, the same calm, knowing smile. The Empire believes we are helpless. That is their greatest mistake. Humanity does not panic. Unlike other races that faced the Empire, humans did not evacuate cities, did not hide underground, did not scream, cry, or riot. Instead, they watched the news silently. Some continued working. Some spent time with family. Some joked about the Empire on the internet. But beneath the jokes and calm behavior, something deeper existed: trust. Humans trusted their fleet. They trusted their leaders. And most of all, they trusted Admiral Reyes. Even without knowing the secret, humanity felt safe. As if they had nothing to fear. A small glimpse of the Terran fleet. In the darkness of deep space, far from any star, the Terran fleet floated silently. Not thousands of ships like the Empire. Only a few hundred. But each ship was enormous, sleek, and built with technology no other species had seen. Some were so large they carried entire cities. Some held weapons that could rewrite the battlefield. Others had shielding systems that looked impossible. But the most mysterious were the black ships, a special class with no name, no registry, no light. They absorbed starlight. They moved without sound. Only Admiral Reyes knew what they were truly capable of. Emperor's doubt. On the Empire's capital world, The Emperor watched all reports angrily. "Why are the humans not preparing defenses?" he demanded. His advisors bowed. "Sire, perhaps they do not understand the threat." "Or perhaps," another advisor said quietly, "they believe they can win." The Emperor laughed. A loud, cruel laugh. "Humans? Win against us? Impossible." But the laugh ended quickly. Because deep inside even he felt a cold drop of fear. The Terran silence was unnatural. It felt planned. If humans were weak, they should be begging for mercy. But humans smiled instead. What? Terran Council meets again. 2 hours later, the Council gathered again. This time they demanded answers. "Admiral Reyes must tell us what he knows," General Tavik said. "His silence is dangerous." Before anyone could respond, an alarm rang through the chamber. A message appeared on the main screen. "Empire fleet nearing Terran border." The room erupted into chaos. But Admiral Reyes walked in calmly. No rush. No fear. He looked at the screen and nodded. "Good. Let them come." The diplomats shouted, "Admiral, they come to destroy us." Reyes placed his hands behind his back. "They cannot destroy what they do not understand." The screen flickered as Empire ships came into scanning range. Giant. Bright. Aggressive. The Council trembled. Admiral Reyes smiled. The Empire fleet crossed the Terran border like a dark wave swallowing the stars. One moment the sky was calm and empty. The next moment, thousands of red-lit ships appeared on the scanners. Destroyers, cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carriers stretching farther than the eye could see. The Terran High Council watched the live feed in fear. General Tavik whispered, This is more than we expected." The diplomats stared in horror. They brought their entire armada? But Admiral Reyes simply watched the screen with the same calm expression. His hands stayed behind his back and his shoulders remained relaxed. One council member asked quietly, "Admiral, why are you not worried?" Reyes did not answer. Not yet. Instead, he turned toward the main screen where the Empire's flagship was opening a communication channel. A harsh red symbol appeared, the crest of the Emperor. A voice echoed through the chamber, cold and proud. "Terrans, this is Fleet Marshal Vor. Your world is now under the command of the Galactic Empire. Surrender immediately." The room froze. General Tavik looked at Admiral Reyes. "We must respond. We cannot stay silent now." Reyes nodded once and stepped forward. The communication channel opened. The Empire fleet bridge filled the screen. Rows of officers in black armor, glowing consoles, and Fleet Marshal Vor standing tall at the center. Vor's eyes narrowed when he saw Reyes. "So, you are the Terran commander," he said. "You look calm for a man who will lose his world today." Reyes nodded politely. "Marshal Vor. Welcome to Terran space." Vor blinked. He expected fear, anger, panic, but not courtesy. "You misunderstand your situation," Vor growled. "Your fleet is outnumbered, outgunned, and outdated. Your world cannot survive this." Reyes tilted his head slightly. "Is that so?" The Marshal clenched his jaw. "You think this is a game?" "No," Reyes said quietly. "But I think you made a mistake." A ripple of confusion spread across the Empire bridge. "A mistake?" "The Empire never made mistakes. Not in war." Vor stepped forward. "Explain yourself." Reyes allowed a small smile. "You believed we would run. You believed we would panic. You believed we would beg." His eyes slowly hardened. "You believed wrong." The communication cut. Empire officers panic. On the Empire flagship, officers exchanged worried glances. What did he mean? Is the Terran fleet stronger than we think? Should we wait for reinforcements? Fleet Marshal Vor silenced them with a glare. "He is bluffing," Vor snapped. "Humans always bluff." But the tremble in his voice told a different story. Terran fleet awakens. Deep in dark space, far from any planet, the Terran fleet received a single coded message from Admiral Reyes. "Begin." No speech. No dramatic command. Just one word. Terran battleships powered up silently. Shields activated with a faint blue glow. Massive cannons extended from hidden compartments. Engines hummed like quiet thunder. And then, the black ships moved. 4 years, these ships had sleepwalked in the void, invisible to all scanners, hidden behind artificial distortions. Even Terran officers feared them a little. They were humanity's most secret creation. Their engines lit up, not bright flames but silent shadows bending the light around them. One officer whispered, "Black Fleet is moving?" Another shivered. Then Admiral Reyes is truly serious. Empire fleet advances. The Empire Armada reached the Terran defensive line. Their ships spread out in formation, perfectly disciplined, perfectly organized. Vor opened a broadcast to all fleets. Prepare weapons. The moment the Terran fleet appears, destroy them. His officers nodded. But something bothered him. Why had the Terrans not deployed their ships yet? Why was space still empty ahead of them? Even with basic ships, humanity should have formed a defense line. But there was nothing. Nothing except silence. Again. Terran Council watches in fear. Back on Earth, the High Council stared at the screen as the Empire fleet aimed their weapons at empty space. Diplomats trembled. Scientists whispered prayers. General Tavik broke into a sweat. One council member turned to Reyes. Admiral, if we do not show our fleet soon, they will fire on Earth. Reyes did not look away from the screen. They won't fire. How can you know that? Another shouted. Reyes's reply was calm and simple. Because the Empire fears what they cannot see. The Empire's first mistake. A single Empire officer on Vor's flagship broke the silence. Sir, we are detecting movement. Vor snapped his head up. Where? The officer swallowed. Everywhere. The lights dimmed. The screens flickered. Suddenly hundreds, no thousands, of faint signals appeared around the Empire fleet. But they were not Terran ships. They were shadows. Ghost readings. Faint shapes. Fleeting signals. What are those? An officer whispered. Are they mines? Are they drones? Are they cloaked ships? Vor froze. Terrans do not have cloaking technology. But the readings kept multiplying. Hundreds became thousands. Shadows circling them. Surrounding them. Watching them. A cold sweat ran down Vor's neck. The Black Fleet reveals itself. In the middle of the Empire formation, space rippled like water. Then something enormous emerged. A ship larger than any Empire vessel. Black as night. Silent as death. Its surface absorbed light. Its weapons remained hidden, but the power coming from it shook Empire scanners. A single Terran symbol glowed faintly on its side. Eclipse 01. Fleet Marshal Vor stepped back. What kind of ship is that? No one answered. Because no one knew. Admiral Reyes speaks again. The communication channel reopened on the Empire flagship. Reyes appeared. Not angry. Not triumphant. Still calm. Still smiling. Marshal Vor, he said softly, welcome to the edge of human space. Behind him, dozens of black ships uncloaked, each one a monster of silent power. Reyes's voice deepened. You came here expecting fear. But you should have prepared for truth. The screen flickered. The Empire fleet shook. And for the first time in their history, they realized they were not the hunters. They were the prey. The bridge of the Empire flagship had never been so silent. Every officer stared at the screen showing Admiral Reyes surrounded by the terrifying Terran Black Fleet. The Empire had crushed hundreds of worlds, fought thousands of battles, and defeated every enemy in their path. But they had never seen ships like these. They were not bright. They were not loud. They were not aggressive. They were quiet. Deadly quiet. That quietness made them terrifying. Fleet Marshal Vor felt his mouth go dry. How did humans build such ships? No one answered. Some officers stared in horror. Others slowly stepped away from their stations as if the Black Fleet might reach through the screen and grab them. Admiral Reyes continues speaking. Reyes stepped closer to the camera, his expression still calm, too calm for the situation. You believed humanity was weak, he said. You believed we were slow, behind, unprepared. Vor forced himself to speak. Humans do not have technology like this. Your species is too young. Reyes shook his head gently. Not all technology is ours. Some is older. A soft ripple of shock moved across the Empire bridge. Vor frowned. What do you mean older? Reyes looked past the camera at something unseen, something heavy, ancient. You will understand soon. The communication cut off again. Terran Council reacts. Back on Earth, the High Council could barely breathe. For years they knew about the Black Fleet, but they didn't know everything. General Tavik stared at the screen. The Admiral is revealing the Black Fleet early. I thought we only used it in absolute emergencies. We are in an absolute emergency, one scientist whispered. The diplomat leaned forward. But Admiral Reyes keeps mentioning something older. What is older than us? What is older than the Empire? Every council member turned toward Dr. Leah Morgan. She swallowed hard. She knew the answer. There is something hidden beneath Earth, something ancient. General Tavik narrowed his eyes. You mean the artifact? The room fell silent. Yes, the artifact. The discovery that changed everything. The secret of Mars. Years ago, humans discovered strange ruins under the surface of Mars. Ruins that did not match human history or any known alien species. Inside those ruins, they found something buried in crystalline chambers. A sphere. Glowing. Sleeping. Waiting. No one knew what it was, but it pulsed with energy stronger than any reactor on Earth. Scientists studied it for decades. At first, they believed it to be a weapon. Later, they realized it was something much more complex. It was technology far beyond the galaxy's understanding. Terran engineers used its principles to create new shields, new engines, new power systems. The Black Fleet was born from that knowledge. But the sphere, the artifact, was still far more powerful than anything built from it. Dr. Morgan whispered, "If Admiral Reyes activates the artifact, the Empire fleet won't stand a chance." General Tavik turned sharply toward her. "Are you saying the artifact can destroy them?" Dr. Morgan shook her head. "No. I'm saying it can stop them." Empire fleet in confusion. On the Empire flagship, Vor barked new orders. "Prepare all ships for attack formation. Charge primary cannons. Target the black ships." Officers rushed to obey, but something was wrong. "Marshal, scanners are malfunctioning. We cannot lock onto the Terran ships. Our weapon systems are freezing." Vor slammed his fist on a console. "Fix it." But they couldn't. The black ships seemed to bend space around them. Their forms flickered like ghosts. Sensors read them as shadows, echoes, distortions. The Empire ships could not target them, could not track them, could not understand them. One officer whispered in terror, "It's like they're not even real." Terran fleet begins its advance. Far away, Admiral Reyes stood alone on the command deck of his flagship, the TNS Horizon. The entire floor glowed with blue light from holographic displays. A young officer approached him nervously. "Admiral, Black Fleet is in position. Defensive barriers are ready. Should we attack?" Reyes shook his head gently. "No, not yet. The Empire must understand what they are facing." He raised one hand. A single command. "Activate the veil." The officer's eyes widened. "The veil, sir? Are we sure?" Reyes repeated calmly, "Activate the veil." Moments later, an invisible wave flowed from the Black Fleet. Empire ships lit up with warning alarms. What was that? "We're detecting a strange energy field. It's surrounding us." But nothing exploded. Nothing burned. Nothing hit them. Instead, something worse happened. All their ships slowed down. Engines struggled. Weapons refused to fire. Targeting systems shut down. The Empire fleet was trapped inside an invisible cage. Vor realizes the truth. Fleet Marshal Vor stared at the readings in disbelief. "This is not human technology," he whispered. "No species can do this." And he was right. Humanity did not invent the veil. They copied it. From the artifact. From the ruins on Mars. From something older than the Empire itself. Terrans were not stronger because they evolved quickly. They were stronger because they learned from something ancient. Reyes sends one last message. The communication channel opened again. Reyes appeared, standing tall, his eyes glowing with quiet confidence. "Marshal Vor," he said. "This is the truth behind the smile." He gestured toward the Black Fleet behind him. "Humanity has seen war. We have suffered, fought, learned, and survived. But what you face today is not only human strength." He paused. "It is the legacy of a civilization far older than your empire." The screen dimmed as the Black Fleet powered up silently. Reyes spoke his final words. "You declared war on humanity. But you awakened something far greater." The Empire fleet hung in space like a frozen storm. Their engines flickered. Their shields trembled. Their weapons refused to fire. The invisible energy field, the veil, wrapped around them like a silent cage. Every officer felt it, a strange pressure in the air as if the space around them had changed. Fleet Marshal Vor stared at his screens in horror. "Report," he barked. Officers scrambled. "Our engines are down by 60%. We cannot lock weapons. Our targeting system is blind. The veil is disrupting our entire fleet." Vor clenched his teeth. What is the veil? No one knew. And that terrified them more than any weapon. Terran fleet moves. Far outside the Empire's formation, the Terran fleet finally appeared on scanners, hundreds of bright blue signatures igniting the darkness of space. Terran battleships moved smoothly and calmly, like they were not marching into a war, but into a slow dance. The Terran flagship TNS Horizon led them. Behind it, the Black Fleet glided like silent predators, their hulls absorbing all light. These ships made no sound, no engine flare, no shaking of space. They moved like shadows that chose to come alive. One Empire officer whispered, "They are too quiet." "Why are they so quiet?" No one answered. Terran's silence was louder than any roar. Inside TNS horizon, Admiral Reyes stood with his hands behind his back, watching the Empire fleet twist helplessly inside the veil. A young Terran officer approached him nervously. "Admiral, the Empire fleet is trapped." "Orders, sir?" Reyes spoke softly. "Prepare a warning shot." The officer blinked. "A warning? Sir, the Empire brought thousands of ships." "Exactly," Reyes said. "A warning will do." His voice was calm, but there was power hidden beneath it. "Humanity does not start wars," Reyes continued. "But we will finish one if we must." The first shot is fired. Terran battleships aimed their cannons. Not at the Empire ships directly, but at empty space between them. The command echoed through Terran comms. "Fire warning volley." Blue light erupted. 12 Terran battleships fired at once. Their beams shot across space like sharp streaks of lightning. The explosion that followed shook the veil and lit the Empire fleet in blue fire. Not a single Empire ship was hit, but the warning was loud enough to shake their souls. On the Empire flagship, officers fell from their chairs. Panels exploded. Lights flickered. "What was that?" one screamed. Fleet Marshal Vor gripped the rail. His eyes widened. "That was a warning shot." The power behind those cannons was far stronger than anything the Empire had ever seen. If that had been aimed at them, their entire fleet could have been destroyed. Panic spreads. Empire ships started drifting apart, some bumping into each other. Alarms echoed everywhere. Officers shouted over one another. "We cannot escape the veil. Our engines are failing. They could destroy us at any moment." One officer fell to his knees. "We are dead, they are playing with us." Fleet Marshal Vor slammed his fist down. "Stand up," he shouted. "We are the Empire. We do not fall to fear." But his voice shook, and everyone heard it. Reyes contacts the Empire. The communication channel lit up again. Admiral Reyes appeared, still calm, still composed. Behind him, the Black Fleet hovered like a wall of death. "Fleet Marshal Vor," Reyes began, "this was only the beginning. You have seen a fraction of what we can do." Vor tried to look strong, but his voice trembled. "Terran? Commander, what do you want?" Reyes tilted his head. "You declared war on us. So I must ask you why." Vor swallowed. Because your species refused to join the Empire." Reyes nodded slowly. "We refused because we value freedom. We refused because we will never kneel." His eyes hardened. "You thought our silence meant fear. But silence can also mean confidence." Reyes leaned closer to the camera. "You want a real battle? Then remove your pride. Remove your assumptions. And look at your fleet." Vor turned to the screen showing the state of his ships. Slow. Weak. Trapped. Helpless. He felt his heart sink. Terran fleet fires the second volley. Reyes raised one hand. "Fire the second volley." The order echoed across Terran ships. This time, the Terran shots were aimed near the Empire's largest dreadnoughts. So close the shockwaves rocked them violently, disabling engines and shutting down shields. One dreadnought spun out of control. Officers screamed. "We cannot stabilize. Emergency systems offline. We've lost steering." And yet, not a single Empire ship was destroyed. Terrans were showing power without killing. That frightened the Empire more than death, because it meant the Terrans were holding back. A terrifying realization. Fleet Marshal Vor stared at the drifting dreadnought. He slowly sank into his command chair. They could destroy us whenever they want. Yes, and everyone knew it. Officers looked at one another with pale faces. They were warriors, trained to fight, to dominate, to crush enemies. But how do you fight something you cannot hit? How do you battle ships you cannot target? How do you win against an enemy who chooses to spare you? Admiral Reyes's voice returned. "This is your final warning. Turn back now. Vor tries one last thing." The Marshal shouted in desperation, "All ships, fire everything." Officers panicked. "But sir, our weapons. Targeting is down. We cannot." "Fire." Vor roared. The Empire ships attempted to launch a desperate barrage. Cannons glowed weakly. Missiles launched but drifted off course. Energy weapons flickered and died midair. It was pathetic. A broken storm trying to roar. Admiral Reyes watched silently. Then he gave the final command. "Disable their fleet." The Terran response. The Black Fleet moved for the first time, smooth, elegant, silent. Blue rings of energy expanded from every black ship. They passed through Empire vessels without leaving scratches. But every Empire ship that the rings touched froze. Weapons powered down. Engines stopped. Shields collapsed. Lights dimmed. Within seconds, the entire Empire armada was dead in space. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just shut down. Like a child turning off a toy. Vor breaks. The Empire fleet floated helplessly. Fleet Marshal Vor stared at the view with hollow eyes. He understood now. The Terrans were not showing their strength. They were showing their mercy. He sank to his knees. Admiral, please, no more? Reyes speaks the final words. The communication flickered once more. Reyes stood tall, unshaken. Marshal Vor, take your fleet and leave Terran space. Tell your Emperor that humanity does not seek war. His eyes sharpened like blades. But if the Empire attacks us again, every Black Fleet ship powered up behind him. We will not hold back. Reyes ended the message. Fleet Marshal Vor remained on his knees. His officers stood frozen, staring at their silent screens. Every ship in the Empire's proud invasion fleet floated without power, without shields, without hope. The silence inside the flagship felt heavier than the vacuum outside. No alarms. No weapons. No engines. Only fear. Vor whispered to himself, How did they do this? What technology, what power? No one answered. Because no one knew. Their entire fleet had been shut down with one order. Not destroyed, disabled. That made it worse. It meant the Terrans had chosen not to kill them. And that made the Empire officers tremble more than death. A message from the Terrans. A quiet beep broke the silence. Marshal, incoming transmission, an officer whispered. Vor swallowed hard. Put it on. The screen activated. This time Admiral Reyes did not stand in a command center. He stood before a large window, where the Black Fleet hovered like silent gods. Fleet Marshal, Reyes said calmly, your fleet is now safe. We have restored minimal power. Enough for your ships to leave. Vor felt cold sweat on his neck. The Terrans restored their power, even after disabling them? Oh, what? Reyes continued, take your fleet home. Carry this message to your Emperor. He leaned closer. Humanity does not bow. Then the transmission ended. No threats. No insults. Just a message filled with quiet strength. Empire fleet withdraws. Engines flickered back to life. Weak, slow but working. Empire officers moved quickly. Sir, we can navigate again. Flight control restored. Shield still offline but engines stable. Vor stood slowly, his legs shaking. Order all ships, retreat. His voice cracked. Return to the Empire. Maximum speed. Outside the windows the Terran fleet did nothing. They watched silently as the Empire armada turned around. Not attacking. Not chasing. Simply watching. That calmness terrified the Empire crew even more. Inside the Empire capital. The Imperial Palace was a colossal structure of dark metal and golden towers. The throne room was filled with nobles, commanders, and advisors when Fleet Marshal Vor entered. His armor was cracked. His eyes were sunken. His voice was hollow. The Emperor sat on a raised throne, wrapped in crimson robes, expecting victory. The court fell silent as Vor knelt. My Emperor, Vor began. We attacked the Terrans. The Emperor leaned forward. Yes, and you have returned early. Did they surrender? Vor's voice trembled. No, my Emperor, we did. The entire room erupted in shocked gasps. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Explain. Vor tells the Emperor everything. Vor raised his head slightly. I saw power beyond anything we ever imagined. Their ships were faster. Their weapons stronger. Their shields unbreakable. He took a shaky breath. We could not target them. We could not touch them. We could not run. He clenched his fists. They trapped us in a field of energy. A veil. Nothing worked inside it. Nothing. The Emperor frowned. What? A veil? Vor repeated. A cage of energy, pure space manipulation. They used it like it was nothing. He lowered his head again. Then they fired warning shots. Warning shots that shook entire dreadnoughts. If they wanted us dead, we would be dead. Silence hit the throne room again. The Emperor's anger. The Emperor stood, his robes flowing like flames. You expect me to believe that a young species defeated the Empire's greatest fleet without firing a single deadly shot? It is the truth, Vor said. Terran Admiral Reyes gave me a message. And what message was that? The Emperor snapped. Vor bowed lower. Humanity does not bow. A ripple spread through the room. Some laughed nervously. Some whispered. Some looked afraid. The Empire begins to fracture. One Grand Advisor spoke. My Emperor, perhaps this is an opportunity. A chance to learn about Terran technology. Another sneered. Or a sign we should gather more forces and crush them fully. A third shook his head. No. You do not understand. Vor is telling the truth. If Terrans wanted the Marshal dead, he would be dead. They allowed the fleet to leave. The Emperor slammed his staff on the floor. Enough. The hall silenced instantly. He stared at Vor. You have seen their power. You have survived. You will lead a diplomatic mission to Terra. Vor blinked in shock. Me? A mission of peace. Yes, the Emperor said. If humanity is as strong as you say, I want to understand them. And if they are not? His eyes darkened. Then we will learn their weaknesses and return. Vor felt a chill. The Emperor still wanted war. He had not understood the truth. The Terrans were beyond war. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Reyes stood on a balcony overlooking the Terran capital. Skyscrapers glowed beneath the night sky. Starships glided silently above the city. A young officer approached him. Sir, the Empire is retreating. Do we pursue? Reyes shook his head. No. Let them think. Let them fear. Let them understand. The officer nodded. Will there be peace, sir? Reyes looked up at the stars. I hope so, he said softly. But if not? He glanced at the black fleet in orbit, their hulls reflecting starlight like blades. Humanity is ready. A final shift. Across the galaxy, news spread quietly. A mighty empire attacked humanity, and humanity didn't even struggle. Every species listened. Every government watched. Every spy reported back the same message. Terrans were different. Terrans were quiet. Terrans were dangerous. And the galaxy would never be the same again.